Hi, this is Reed Pettengill. I'm at the Durastill factory in Kansas City, Missouri today, and I'm going to show you how to unpackage a 4-gallon tank. And I want to show you the quality that they put into Durastill here. Even in their packaging, it's 2 boxes thick to protect it in shipping. Okay, you just open the box up and you get the tape cut on it. And remembering that it is 2 boxes thick, you tip it upside down and pull the first box off. See, how could that get hurt in shipping? It's just immaculate the way they send these distillers out. There's not a chance that they could get damaged unless somebody sat on them or jumped on them. This is your 4-gallon tank. The first thing you pull out is a piece of cardboard that has your parts to your tank on it, and you set that to the side for a second. And then you see your tank is wrapped up in foam, 2 boxes, and then it's wrapped in foam. You slide it out, and you don't drop it on the floor. Take it out of the box. On the bottom side of it, you undo the tape. And unwrap it. And you'll go, wow, that's beautiful. And you'll see that on the tank there's a cord. A lot of people go, what on earth is that cord for? But if you look at the back side of the distiller, you'll see that cord goes into a box with a receptacle on it. Also, there's a float, and this is a float switch. So when the distiller is full, this float goes up and shuts the distiller off when the tank is full. That mechanism fits in there as a lid, and that groove is where the switch fits. And you make sure it's in the groove, and you can hear it click when you lift it up and down. This cord you undo, and this is the cord you plug into the wall. I'm going to turn it around now. You'll notice there's a hole right here in the front. You take the lid off and you find your spout in the tools here, the parts. Here's your spout, and it goes in that hole. It has an eyeglass on it. The reason I have you take the top out is because you have to reach down inside the tank like that and screw a nut on the back side of that spout to hold it on. And that's how you get your water out of the 4-gallon tank, by raising that spout. I'm going to put that on there for you to show you how it looks. Okay, I took 2 things out to hook the spout on. A rubber gasket and a nylon nut. Now the rubber gasket goes on the outside of the faucet. You just push that onto the threaded nipple that goes inside the tank. You push it into the hole right there like that, and you take your nut and you put it down in the tank. Just barely raise this wire up and get your hand in there. If my hand will go in there, anybody's hand will go in there, because I got bigger hands than most people. And you just reach in there and carefully thread that onto that spout, because if you get it cross-threaded, you might be calling for a new one. But just get it on there right the first time. Don't over-tighten it, and get it so it's tight when it comes to the top. You might have to back it off a little bit and get it to where it's very tight. Not so tight that you strip it out. And that's perfect right there. Get your hand back out and put your float switch back in. And there you are. You're ready to put your distiller on top of your tank. Now on top of this tank, we can put a 30J or a 46C. Okay, you'll see there's two holes in your 4-gallon tank. One of the holes is for an older model, and they still make that hole in these tanks so that if you order a 4-gallon tank for an older model that we no longer produce, you can still use this tank on it. They also send this little black plug so you can plug up that hole, because you won't use it in a 30J or a 46C. Either a 30J or 46C can sit on this 4-gallon tank. Now, after you put your plug in that hole, you bring your filter assembly around. Be careful when you're balancing your distiller, you don't tip it over, but gently set it down, and you bring your filter around. Okay, what you do is you put this little rubber washer over that elbow and poke it so it flares down like that. What that does is when you put it in the tank, it makes a nice seal so dust and anything in the air doesn't get into your water. I'm going to show you how that goes all together. Now you can do this filter with the distiller on there, and you don't ever have to raise it up, but just so you can see what's happening, I'm raising it up. What you do is you get your filter like that, and what you do is you put that filter exit into that hole, and that puts filtered water into your 4-gallon tank, and you swing that around, and then you're ready to put your bracket on that holds the filter. You get your filter right where you want it. You get it where you want it, and then what you do is you can put a little mark where it goes. You raise it up and peel a sticky pad off the back and stick it down, and that'll hold your filter in place. And then you let your distiller back down, and you're good to go. Check, make sure that the outlet went in that hole and stayed in it, and the rubber seal is over the hole. You're good to go. You're good to go to make water. Now the only other thing is, on the back of this distiller, I've had people get mixed up on this. Okay, obviously this is the water inlet. You've already hooked that up with your pre-filter in place, in line. This is the cord that runs your distiller. Now it doesn't plug into the wall. I've had people plug this into the wall before and they say their distiller leaks. Well, the reason it leaks is because if you plug it into the wall, it never shuts off. So where you plug this in is down here in this switch. This is a float switch for the 4-gallon tank. When this float switch comes up, it turns the distiller off. When it goes down, it turns the distiller back on. So, obviously, if you don't plug your distiller into your on and off switch, it isn't going to operate correctly. You plug this float switch into the wall. This vinyl tube you stick up onto the outlet for the distilled water. That's the end of the coil where the fan is. The fan cools the coil and changes steam back into water. Then you slide your clamp up into place. And tighten that clamp up right there. Now you can, after you have your little steamer tube in this vinyl pipe, vinyl hose, you raise your distiller up and stick it in this hole. Now with your fan switch off, the distiller blows straight steam into the empty tank. With the fan switch on, it makes water. It cools the steam into water. So what we want to do is sterilize this tank, so we will leave the fan switch off, which will cause this tank to heat up the same temperature as boiling water, 212 degrees. Now with the steamer tube in the tank, you want to have it automatically fill, but what you want to do is turn the fan switch off to the off position. And in about 25 minutes, the boiling chamber will be boiling and you'll be pushing steam into this tank. After the tank's brought up to temperature, the thing you do then is you wait 10 minutes and let it cook. After it gets hot, let it stay hot for 10 minutes. That'll kill any bacterium, virus, or parasite that's in that tank. And then you turn on the fan switch. It immediately starts cooling the steam, so everything will start to cool down immediately. You'll start making water. It'll be hot at first, and then it'll cool right down to room temperature. And then you insert the filter. Never put steam through a filter, it ruins it. So after you autoclave your distiller out, you clean you steam clean your tank, your new tank, you put a filter in line. After you steamed out your tank with steam and it's been sterilized, time to put the post filter in. You put your two 90-degree nylon elbows on there, and you put the vinyl tubing on one side, which is the inside. You can see the arrow flowing that way. And then you line up the filter to one of these holes and slide it off to one side. And I'm going to raise this distiller up. You don't need to do that, but because we're filming it, I'm going to raise it up so you can see what we're doing here. Okay, when you get your filter in place, this vinyl tube, you stick up onto the outlet for the distilled water. That's the end of the coil where the fan is. The fan cools the coil and changes steam back into water. You line your distiller up, mark the spot where you want it to be. You reach under there and pull the peel and stick tape off, and then you just stick it down to the top of the distiller right there. You put this little washer on right here on the 90 that keeps a seal on the tank so nothing gets in there. No dirt or insects or anything like that can get in. Now you're making distilled water that's very nice to drink, 99.9% pure water, and this is a great distiller.